Hey Sam.
Hey Bev, how's it going?
Oh, it's going really, really well. I survived my parking lot egg and money swap today. So
Oh,
I'm excited about that.
sounds pretty similar to when I was in a Cracker Barrel parking lot exchanging money for a rooster. Shady business. I did cross the border into Ohio to do that too, so yeah.
Oh, did you check that rooster in with customs when you came
Ye-
back across the border? Because I'm sure that there's a customs office between Michigan and Ohio, and if there isn't one, like they gotta get on that.
we didn't get stopped, but I did have his papers on me just in case. He had his NPIP
Oh, oh,
papers on
good
him, so
deal.
it was all good.
The most hilarious thing about this exchange, though, was that we had to move the place because the parking lot we were going to meet in, they started roping it off at night because people had been meeting there to do drug deal exchanges. And I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of glad that we're not meeting in that parking lot because, like, I'm going by myself because it's like after 7. So, my husband's staying here to like get the kids all tucked into bed. I'm digging through his wallet looking for a 20 so that I can give this lady money for eggs.
Could you imagine if you rolled into that one parking lot and like they were just the cops were like undercover scoping it out and they like were like freeze and like she comes out and drops the eggs on accident or something ridiculous.
Oh.
You killed the unborn children.
That would have been super hilarious and super awful all at the same time. I'm pretty sure I would have peed my pants if a cop had yelled
Oh,
freeze
for
at me.
sure. But it would have made for a great story for drinking. But the picture in my head right now is almost just as good without any eggs having to be harmed in the process. So we'll just settle for that. So what are you drinking? Because I heard it go.
So I'm drinking a New Holland
Ooh,
Brewing Passion Blaster.
nice. I think that's a
Yeah,
local Michigan brewery. New Holland, yeah.
it is. And in
Oh,
fact, I've
snap.
been there before. So yeah, I was all excited. My friend called me last week and she was like, hey, you guys left your first aid kit in my Jeep, so I need to come and bring it to you. And I was like, oh, snap, we might need that. Yeah, go ahead and come on by right now. And then she showed up with beer instead. No first aid kit. So apparently I don't know where the first aid kit is. So she brought me beer,
Hmm.
and she picked this up at a place in Greenfield, so which is, the town that's just north of us. So I'm really excited. There's a lot of places around here that are upping their craft beer game, which means that I'm gonna have a lot more fun craft beer to drink. But this is a rose ale with
Ooh,
passion fruit, raspberry, and apple
that sounds
flavors. Yeah.
lovely.
I know, I tend to drink flavored beers while we record for some reason. I don't know why. I don't always drink flavored beers, but I just think that these are so fun.
Well, they're
Like,
fancy.
it's amazing what they can squish into these.
Well, I find myself too when I'm like trying to figure out what I want to drink. I feel like I really have to be on point with my drinking game when I get on here to record because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm drinking, vodka and seltzer water for the 20th time. Like, that's no fun for anybody to listen to,
That's
you
very
know.
true.
Well, it feels extra special when I bust something open like this thing that's been sitting in my fridge for forever. It's a strawberry lavender hard cider from Uncle John's Cider Mill, which is about an hour away from my house, I think. It's between Lansing and Mount Pleasant, if any, Michigan people know what that means. But I had a wine from them a couple of weeks ago, and now I have this yummy, yummy hard cider that's delicious. And it is quite fruity as well. It's very enjoyable. I need to like get back up there so I can get like a whole case of it.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And I have like a little growler of it hanging out in here with me, so we'll see how much damage I do today. But they have a ton of like fruity, happy hard ciders. Like they have a blueberry one too that's super good. So if you're, in Michigan or around the Midwestern area and find some of it, I highly recommend you try it because it's delicious. And this is going down very easily. That's what she said. Sorry. Bad jokes already because this drinks really easily. So Sam might be a little silly by the end of this because she's already halfway through her first pint and we're only 5 minutes in. So Bev better let me talk a lot. Otherwise, Otherwise, I'm going to be tanked by the time we're done.
Well, that'll certainly make it more fun.
Well, and you know what it is too? I think I might pick up the pace. I don't know if you suffer from this problem, but I do. I feel like when I drink on a Sunday, it's pretty leisurely. I'm still pretty relaxed. Like, usually when we are recording, I don't have the Sunday scaries yet where I don't want to go to work. But like, we're recording on a Monday this time. So now I feel like I've already been brutalized a little bit for the week. So it's just drinking a little faster.
Oh, yeah. You know, it was funny while I was picking out my beer for this, I was thinking about that. Usually around halfway through our recording, I talk about how I'm going to eventually get up and get a second one, and I never do. The only time I've drank more than one was when I was sitting in here with that little mini keg
Hmm.
thing that I had. And so I was like, should I pull out a second one? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because it'll get warm, like sitting out here by the time I'm done. But I find that I am just a slow drinker in general. Like I don't ever like just pound them back as quickly as I can. I'm always just enjoying them and savoring them and talking and it's hard to talk and have the audio sound good if you're like mid sip. So usually when we're like, when we're on like our long, I don't want to call them rants because they're not rants, but you know what I'm
Not
saying.
always.
When we're
Yeah.
monologuing, yes, there we go. When we're monologuing, you can't like drink during that. So,
Right, exactly.
so I find that a beverage does take me between an hour to an hour and a half when we're talking.
See, but this tastes like juice, like carbonated juice. It's dangerous.
See, and mine tastes like carbonated juice too,
Mm.
and it's the color of
Mine
carbonated juice as well.
too.
In fact, I gotta snap a picture of this for the Patreon because it's like this gorgeous, like bright pink
Ooh.
beer. Which, I mean, I don't know. Some people might think that that's cool. Some people might think that that's stupid, but I don't know. I like it. I think it's neat.
Mine's like a dark red. Like it looks like a dark strawberry was just like smushed. And it smells like flowery strawberry too, so it's pretty delicious. Now, these guys, well, actually, both breweries will probably be at the Naperville Ale Fest in July.
Ooh.
So we will have to stop at both of those booths if I guess if we're still doing that. I'm gonna be there. Uh,
Yeah, it's on my calendar.
Yay!
And in fact, I think we set up a babysitter for the kids. Orion's
Ooh.
going to be out of town already because he's going river rafting with Grandma and Papa.
Whoa.
And Aurora's going to go to the other set of grandparents while we go do that. So yeah, we have the days off and it's on our calendar. So
Yay!
we're going to be there whether we like record or
Oh
not.
yeah. Even if we're just
Maybe we can just like hole up in a hotel room and record.
well, I mean, we can always just like live stream on Instagram too and be just really obnoxious. That would probably work
Oh,
as
there we
well.
go.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, because I mean, there's not going to be any Wi-Fi down there, so I'm not real sure how we would record, but we could figure it out. We're smart girls. We'd figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, we figured out how to do all of this.
Yeah.
Someday I've got to take like a little video of like what really goes into making one of these. It's surprisingly complicated. Like, I kind of want to pat us on the back right
Oh,
now
please.
for
I want to pat like
making this a
you on
thing.
the back because you do most of the heavy lifting. I'm just over here getting a little, toasty on a Monday night. So, and then I listen to it and say, "Good job, Bev. You're the best." But yeah, so we have that coming up in July. So I'm letting the masses know.
And it's the second weekend in July, right? Is it like the 16th and 17th?
It
We might as
is
well throw a
the
date out there since we're
14th.
talking about it.
Yes.
14th. There we go.
Yes.
Yep, 13th, 14th.
So, unofficially but official, this is us telling you guys that we will be there in Naperville, Illinois on July 14th to get a little drink on with anybody that would like to join us. There are like over 200 breweries that show up. There are food trucks galore, and it's just a good time. So, yeah, I know we're planning far ahead, but if you have children, you got to be like Bev and plan ahead and get your sitters around. And if you're traveling,
Yeah.
like, you might have to figure out a hotel situation. So, just giving you fair warning because we want you guys to be there.
Yes, it'll be a good time. Don't bring your chickens though. They don't let chickens inside the
No,
ale fest. Chickens not allowed.
no, that would not be good. No. And you don't want to have to supervise your chickens while you're, navigating through all of the breweries, stands, and all the people, and it'll probably be hot and yeah. Just leave the children at home, human fur and feather.
Which that totally just reminded me of a video somebody posted to my Facebook timeline. I don't know if you saw it, but it was a chicken like totally drinking wine out of a wine glass. And I like
I
audibly
did see
gasped
that.
though because I was like, that can't be good for the chicken. Like,
No. No, I know. Somebody sent that to me too, and I was like, LOL,
but
hilarious,
not
but not
really.
really. It's kind of concerning. Yeah.
It sort of made me feel like that poor chicken was being abused.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the person that filmed that really like saw it that way, but I don't know. Like we've talked about how chickens' crops can be like sort of iffy, like the
Yeah.
bacteria and stuff that's in them is like designed to break down everything properly. And when you throw alcohol in the mix, like that could totally mess everything up. Same with goats. Like you would never ever want to give goats booze.
No.
I just yeah, I am imagining the bloating
Oh,
and the awful gas and the ugh.
yeah. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that video because I saw right before I got on here with you that it now has 5.8 million views. So, like,
What? Is that all it
and
takes to get like internet famous now? You just like
apparently,
give your animals booze and
well, I don't understand because I think we post some premium content on Instagram and neither one of us has gone viral yet. But you do something questionable and give a chicken booze. Apparently, that's all you need to do for internet fame. Cute goats just aren't enough anymore.
I'm very careful when we take those photos that like the chicken doesn't actually get up to it and like try to put their
Oh,
beak in
yeah.
it.
Exactly. I mean, like if they did it like once and it just got a tiny bit, it would probably be fine. I mean, for goodness sakes, I caught my chickens running around with a dried up frog in their mouth 2 days ago, and I've seen them run around the yard
Yeah.
with mice in their mouth before. Like, they get into some stuff they shouldn't, but I don't want to encourage anything extra.
No. Can you imagine the shenanigans a chicken would get in if it were drunk? Like
Oh
chickens
my
are already kind of
gosh.
jerks. I bet chickens would be angry drunks. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. It was the Barnevelder eggs you got in that parking lot, right? Is that what you
Yes,
got?
it was the
Okay.
Barnevelder eggs. Yep, that is exactly what I got.
Yay, that's exciting.
It is
Like you put
exciting.
in your Instagram post. I love when people use that pun. It's so good. Uh,
I know it's my favorite.
so yep. So you had to do a creepy egg dealer deal in the parking lot, and then is your daughter super excited now?
She is. She's very excited. And I scratched the idea of using the calendar because I started writing on it and I realized that my handwriting is too big and sloppy to fit into teeny tiny calendar squares. So I went on Canva and made like a super professional worksheet.
Nice.
So yeah, when we do our hatching egg episode, we'll add that to it as a download of some kind that we give out. Because it's a pretty neat little worksheet, and Aurora was really excited about it. Like the font's nice and big, it's clear. It just tells you what to do every day of the hatch, but that's relatively simple.
Yeah.
We'll go through all that when we actually like do an episode
No, that'll be
on
cool.
hatching specifically.
No, I think that's a really cool idea, especially like if somebody wants to do a hatch with small children or it's even their first time, just so you can get in a routine and then it's like by the time you're in a routine they hatch and
Yeah.
then it's all done. But it's pretty
Yeah, they
cool.
aren't quite in the incubator yet. It wasn't holding the temperature steady yet, and the eggs felt a little cold. We had a really cold, rainy day here today, so if the eggs were in the car for a little
Hmm.
while, they like dropped the temperature dropped a little bit on them. So I left them out on the counter so that they would warm up to room temperature before I stuck them in the incubator, and the incubator is running a little cold and a little humid, so I need to let some of the humidity out. I got a little overzealous when I put my water in there, so
It
it's running
happens.
at like 80% humidity. I'm like, that's probably a little too high to start out with. Let's let some of that out.
Just a tad.
Yeah, so those will go in probably tomorrow morning, I'm guessing. I'll check it after we're done recording to see if it's let all the humidity out, but I don't expect it to because it's been running all afternoon and it's still pretty high.
Yeah, it takes a while for it to dip back down, but I'm excited to see what they look like when they hatch and they're all cute.
Oh, I know, I am too. And I'm excited to get to view it like through the side. I was the type of incubator I bought, I was a little worried that you wouldn't be able to view it, but I have a cigar thermometer and hygrometer in there, and you can read it through the side. So you'll totally be able to see the eggs hatch through the side. Maybe I'll even be able to like get my
Aw.
phone up against there to like take a little video of it. We'll see. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun and an interesting new endeavor that we've taken on here at the farm.
Welcome to the club. It's addicting.
Right.
You have far more self-control than I do, though. So you probably won't be as crazy as I am with it.
Well, I was gonna say it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I realized like I've been talking about these hatching eggs for what this is episode 10 now. So
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
talking about getting hatching eggs for 9 episodes, and now I finally got it. This is the way Bev operates. She like mentions casually that she might want to do something, and then she like researches the shit out of it, and then she makes all the lists, contacts all the people that need to be contacted to make it happen, and then just sits and waits. And then suddenly one day, like poof, there's hatching eggs on the counter.
You're just so organized. There's nothing wrong with that. And then I'm over here like, oh, this just came out of my Polish chicken's butt. And I know she's been getting with this rooster. Let's throw it in the incubator and see what happens.
You're gonna end up with some pretty cool chickens, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, my incubator right now is a little occupado with, the call duck eggs and then the Muscovy duck eggs. So I'll be out of commission for a little bit as far as with hatching chickens.
When will the ducks be done? Do you know what date they're due?
Um, so the call ducks should probably hatch around May 15th because they take about 26 days. And then the Muscovies can take anywhere from 35 to 38 days, I think I read. So that lands around more like around Mother's Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're trying to just double that. I was sent, I believe, 13 call duck eggs, even though I only ordered 8, which was good because 3 of them in the incubator look vital still, and then I have 2 out in the coop under a broody hen that are looking pretty good. So 5 out of 13 isn't too bad for shipped hatching eggs. And then the Muscovies, I think we have like 8 or 9 that still look good. So we'll see how many actually hatch.
I'm excited to see that. The ducks are gonna be adorable.
Oh yeah, and my husband's been working his tail off the past couple days. He's building a new pen for the call ducks because they're so much smaller. And we have a couple of drakes in with our big ducks, so I'm just a little afraid that they would get beat up on because they're so small.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have their own little pen, and it's looking really awesome. I'll have to take some pictures of it when it's done and throw it up on the Patreon for people to see. But he's proving to be very handy. But I think he kind of likes it now that the weather's nice. Like it's actually enjoyable to be outside and build things and do chores. It makes a huge
Oh,
difference.
yeah. We were outside like almost all weekend. Jared got the pollinator garden installed, and it's about halfway filled with soil. We're trying to decide what we want to do for the top of the soil, whether we want to just like dig a hole somewhere and use the soil here, which is kind of clay and heavy, which isn't ideal for wildflowers, but we think it'll work just fine because that's where all of the wildflowers that are out here grow. They just randomly grow out in the field. So, or I might, sort of amend the soil, throw in some compost and peat moss and all that good stuff and make them really pretty and big flowers. So we'll see.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of pollinators, so I don't know if you have Netflix, but there's a documentary series on there called Rotten. There's like 8 episodes. We accidentally fell into a hole on Netflix on Sunday morning, and we watched one about bees and honey, and we watched one about dairy cows, and we watched one about chickens.
Oh.
And it all talks about like how like commercial farming has made it really difficult to do certain things, and like the one about bees and honey, though, is super interesting because it just talked about how certain honey that comes over from China is actually mixed with rice syrup, so it's not pure. And like it talked about all the tests it has to be run through, and how then China was taking their honey and shipping it to like Vietnam and some other countries around that side of the world, and then from those countries shipping it over to America to make it like look like it didn't come from China. So there like some shady shit goes on with honey. And it just
Oh.
blows your mind because you're like that makes it so tough for like the small farmer
Yeah.
to do anything. Like and it makes you so mad.
I have Netflix. I'm looking at this right now. I think we need to assign some homework so
Yes.
that next episode we can like really dive in deep on one of these episodes. Yeah, the first one is Lawyers, Guns, and Honey.
Yeah. Which it didn't talk about guns, by the way. There were lawyers, and then maybe there were guns because police get involved. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
But yeah, if you guys have Netflix, definitely watch at least the bee one.
Yeah.
And then Bev and I can talk about that next week. But it made me want honeybees really badly. And I'm going to plant wildflowers like crazy out in like the back acreage.
Awesome.
No. So it had an impact on
Yeah,
me.
so we've just assigned homework.
Yeah, go check that out and plant some wildflowers if you can.
There we go. Yeah, I'll watch this and then we'll like talk like deep in depth like on what exactly it was. And then the next one we should do will be Big Bird because that'll be the chicken
Yeah.
one. I think everybody will find that one super fascinating. And Milk Money is the other episode I think people will find.
Yeah, that I watched all three of those. They were very good. Like we watched them back to back, so I was just like raging so hard in my mind. Like, ugh, you guys just have to watch. You'll be upset too.
Well, that's what's interesting about those types of documentaries. Like, that's how they're designed.
Hmm.
I've watched several of, like, the real food or, like, the health related documentaries. And some of them you've got to dig into a little bit to find out if what they're saying is really true. I don't know anything about this show, so I'm not saying that this show wasn't true, but I've watched some documentaries that, like, really got me going. And then after I did a little
Oh
bit of
yeah.
research, I realized that it was all just super biased. They didn't ask the right questions. They like cherry picked their information. So I'm really looking forward to this because I will watch this and I will research what I can and share what I found about it and how I feel about their sources. I'll be happy to do that.
No,
I love
I
this.
yeah, I can't remember which one I watched. It because I've watched a few of the health ones too. I started watching What the Health and it just pissed me off because I could tell it was so one-sided that I stopped watching it.
Hmm.
And then I watched one about this guy that just like went on a juice diet. I watched that one a few years ago.
I can't remember that one.
But that one was like interesting, but also kind of pissed me off. And then I think I've watched Forks Over Knives too, but that was a while ago. So you're totally right because of course they're gonna just show one side. So it's like your civic duty to like do your homework and, form your own opinion. But it's important to look at all sides of the argument for really anything in life before you like come up with a solid opinion that you want to fight for. Otherwise, you're just gonna look kind of silly.
Right?
But I felt like a lot of the content that I saw in the Rotten series seemed, pretty even. Like you could see both sides of it. So I'm excited to see what you think.
Okay. Homework.
Since you're like,
Watch Rotten.
yes, you're like
Episode number one.
super into doing your homework after too. So now I feel like I need to do my homework so
And I'm
I
super
can be
into
prepared.
assigning homework. I don't know why this makes me so happy. I might need some sort of psychological evaluation after this, but seriously, like, you
No,
just mentioned something that we could ask people to do, and I was like, yes, I love this. This is genius.
but this is smart though because then we can do like a post on our social media and then figure out what people think
Yes,
after they listen to our episode about it. So
there we go.
this is good.
More
This is
discussion.
how you go viral. Assign homework.
All of the rebels are like, no, this podcast is dead to me.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, homework? I'm not in high school anymore. Like, no, this is not like boring homework. This is interesting.
This is good homework.
Yeah, but I'm also like a total nerd and I love documentaries, like in a sick, twisted way. Like History Channel is my jam. And I'll be like watching, for some reason, it's probably because I'm related to Ava Braun, but I like to watch like documentaries about like World War II and Nazi Germany and stuff just because I like look at it and I'm like, how did this happen? So I find a lot of that information and the more like the different perspectives on it and the different documentaries just fascinating to get like behind the psychology of it all. So I'm just a nerd in general for
Well,
documentaries.
documentaries are fun because they're like real life stuff. Most of our entertainment is just sort of,
Yeah.
mindless, fictional. I don't know if garbage is the right word because I mean it does entertain you, so it's not necessarily garbage. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of reality TV. I don't watch very much of that.
See, I am because it's
Right.
garbage. I like it because it's like it just A makes me feel better about my life, and B, like it lets me shut my brain
That's
off.
true. Maybe I should watch more TV. I just realized like I'm trying to think through if I'm watching anything right now, and I am not. I don't remember the last time I actually like put on a TV show specifically to watch it. I watch like clips from news shows every now
Ah,
and then, like before bed, but I don't watch the whole thing. I just go to YouTube and like look up the clips or like, certain stories from things that I wanted to watch. I have a hard time getting into them because I feel like there's always something I'm supposed to be working on. Like if I'm sitting at night and I'm not doing anything rather than watching TV, I don't know, write a blog post or think of my next idea. I used to fill that time with crochet, but I haven't been crocheting very much lately. In fact, I'm looking at three of my unfinished projects right now on a bookshelf. I should probably pick those back up. I watched more TV when I used to crochet. I say used to, like it was years ago, but it's only been like 3 months. Now that it's warming up, I'm just not motivated because I didn't get them done
oh
before the cool
yeah.
weather was over. So now I'm like, all right, I'll pick you guys back up in the fall, and then I'll get to wear you next winter.
Yeah, that sounds like a seasonal activity. I mean, I don't knit or crochet, but it seems like one of those things where it's stereotypical and you want to be like sitting under a big blanket or next to a fire and just crocheting your little heart away.
Yes, which is why it was so surprising that I kept that hobby up for so long living in Phoenix because I never got to do that in Phoenix ever.
That is true.
But I did do it here and I enjoyed it very much. Very, very much so. With a cup of tea next to me or
Ooh.
hot chocolate. I like them both.
Are there really like that many people that drink alcohol while they crochet? I feel like that's probably not a good mix to get like a little too tipsy when you're
I
doing
used
that.
to drink a beer while I would crochet every now and then. I never got super tipsy. My friend and I, we used to take our spinning wheels to the brewery and we would go spin yarn while we drank beer. A couple of people would
Oh.
come and watch and be interested by it. Or did we spin while we drank? Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. I don't know that we both owned our wheels at that point. So we definitely crocheted while we would drink beer. But my wheel is
See,
portable. And hers was portable too by the time she bought it. I don't know, I can't remember. See, that wasn't even that long ago. My brain just like, it didn't matter whether you were crocheting or spinning yarn. You were doing something with yarn at a brewery.
it's okay though, because you hit your head like a week ago.
That's
So,
right. And I hit my head again because I was mowing and
oh,
totally
that's
tore
right.
a branch off of one of my peach trees. Oh my goodness. I was mowing the orchard and I'm just driving along and suddenly I heard this really loud crack and something hit me in the head and I was like, what just happened? And I looked behind me and there was a branch like stuck under the bar. I must have gone straight at it and like when I got under the part where that branch met into the tree, it just like ripped it down. And it was under the roll bar, so like fell on me. I was like, "Ah, dang it. Like I just ripped a branch off of my white peach tree. This is so sad. Mowing
Oh boy.
problems.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you got it out of the way for the mowing season, so hopefully, you know.
Yes, hopefully that is my only branch that I rip off, which reminds me, I need to go out there with cutters because I need to go take the branch the rest of the way off because it was pretty big, so it didn't like, rip it clean. It just sort of
Ooh.
yanked it. So I gotta go out there and doctor the tree up a little bit because I gotta make sure that it doesn't end up with some weird fungus and that big giant wound that I just created.
Yeah,
Taking care of trees is serious business.
it is. Yeah. So I saw something about a cow on your Instagram and how you you were told that it was creepy to ask to go people's farms, and I feel like I might have said that to you.
Well, my husband definitely said it to me because when we first moved here, so there's a farm on our road and it's like right on the corner of the main road and our road when you turn off. And they have tons of cows. They're like those big, giant, like picturesque black cows. And every time I drive by
Oh.
there, I'm like, I want to go pet those cows. My husband's like, you had better not go ask them if you can pet their cows because we cannot have people in town hearing that like the new folks that just moved in from the city are like begging to pet people's meat cows. And the people we bought the house from, her brother actually lives on our road, and they raise miniature Hereford cows. So the Hereford cows are like the beautiful, they're like a reddish brown on their bodies, and then they have the white faces.
Oh
They're kind
yeah.
of their fur is like a little curly almost. I don't know that it's necessarily curly, but it's not like the smooth and shiny like the big giant black
Right.
steers that you're picturing in your head. It's a little more matte looking. I don't know how else to describe it, but you can Google Herefords and you'll totally recognize it. And he's raised those for a while, and I was like, oh, well, we kind of know them. So, like, can I go ask him if I can pet their cows? My husband's like, no, I still don't think that's a good idea. So I didn't. I held off. But he sent me a message just like randomly through Facebook and said, one of our cows had a baby last night. So, do you want to bring the kids down to come see the new baby cow?
Aw.
I was like, yes. I'm like, do I have to bring the kids? Because I kind of just want to come down and do it right now. But I waited and the whole family went. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. He or she, the calf was a girl. I don't know why I kept calling it a boy. He named her April Showers because she was born in the middle of that really bad
Aw,
rainstorm we had just a few nights ago.
that's
Yeah.
cute.
So she was adorable and she was like, she sort of jumped around like the goats do, like on all four legs, like springing around. And she loved being pet. And I don't know. I loved hearing her mom. He was holding mom back because they
Mm-hmm.
can be very protective. So I told the kids, I'm like, be very careful. Like, don't walk to the side of the cow. Don't walk to the back of them because cows can actually karate kick. They like pull
Oh
their,
yeah.
they like I don't know, sort of lift their legs sideways like a dog would and can kick out their legs so they can side kick you. Mules can't side kick you. Mules or donkeys, they just back kick. But cows, I call it karate kicking. So you got to be careful where you stand on a cow when they're very upset. So, yeah, he was holding her back, and we got to love on the little baby cow for a little while. And mom was making these sweet mooing sounds towards her baby, and it
Aw.
was really fun to hear the different inflections. Yeah, cows are just fascinating creatures. I would
Yeah.
love to have a cow someday, but they're so big, and they require a lot more work than I think I can give right now. But maybe someday.
Yeah. I mean, you can always get one of those smaller breeds too, that don't have
Yeah.
as big of poo. But
Yeah, that's very true. It was really funny. We went out, he let us play like in their pasture and stuff. They've got huge property and they have like a stream running through their pasture. So the kids were skipping rocks on the stream that was inside the middle of the pasture. And Aurora picked one up and threw it and it floated. And he goes, oh, I don't think that was a rock. And she's like, oh, what was it? Was it mud? We're like, stop picking those up. But
ooh.
we went into the pasture to go explore because he has a miniature donkey. So we wanted to go and meet his miniature donkey also so that we could take a look at, how their size really compares to
Mm-hmm.
us. They're a little bigger than I thought they were, but yeah, he keeps a miniature donkey on his pasture because it helps protect the baby cows from the buzzards. So in most places, buzzards only go for things that are dead, but we have a kind of buzzard around here, and I don't know anything about it other than that it has a black head and long tail feathers. And when you see that circling around over your farm,
Mm.
you know that those are the types of buzzards that will come down and take your live chickens or live rabbits, or they'll come down and they'll peck a baby cow to death.
Aw.
And then all of the, yucky buzzards that just eat the dead stuff will come in and come have at it like after it's dead. But the donkey helps protect the baby cows from things like that happening. Yeah.
Huh.
So Jared got a nice lesson on why a miniature donkey is good to keep around the farm for the goats. Because he did mention, he was like, "You're not keeping those goats out on that pasture, are you?" Like, no, they stay in the barn stall. They come out and get lots of playtime outside when I'm done working for the day. They love to play outside and follow us around really well, but I'm not putting them in the pasture right now because the buzzards will come and they could get a little goat. That's how big these birds are. They're pretty mean too.
That's crazy.
So maybe someday we will have a donkey.
So, do you feel like you're any closer to getting a donkey now?
I think I might be. I mean, I don't
Ooh.
know. I mean, we've talked about it for 10 episodes now, maybe 10 more episodes. I'll have a donkey. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it is a Patreon goal. So come on,
That's right. We
people.
got to meet
Get
that
by the
Patreon.
donkey. It's like the closest thing to like a GoFundMe for a mini donkey that we have.
There we go. But that totally reminded me, we've got to tell the listeners about the sticker. I know we've posted
Oh,
on Instagram
yes.
and, we've like shared it on social media, but I know not everybody gets to see everything that we post. So we got to talk about the sticker, like on
Yes.
the podcast. Yeah.
Because the algorithm is a bitch. And sorry, Zucks, but it kind of sucks for us if people can't see our stuff. So, yes, and you just sent me a couple stickers too. So I must say they're even more fabulous in real life. And I want to stick them on like all of my property because they're that cute.
I mean, they turned out really nice. They're vinyl, so they're supposed to be weatherproof, so you can stick them to your car if you want to. I
Ooh.
have a rule that I don't stick anything alcohol related on my car. I don't know, it
Oh,
just seems like you're asking for it.
touche.
Um, so I'll be sticking mine to my laptop because the back of my laptop is covered in stickers. It's only a 13-inch laptop, so I don't really have a whole lot of room for more stickers. But yeah, oh, I totally got a space for it there. And also, my husband has one of those bottle keepers. It's a koozie that is sort of like a Nalgene that like screws over your beer bottle.
Oh,
And so it keeps it cold and protected, or, like from breaking while you're out there, like doing non-machining farm work.
there you go.
Like pulling weeds. Yeah, if you're like out there pulling weeds or, like transplanting things, like you can carry a beer with you and keep it cold and it won't spill and whatnot. So when I get mine, because I bought him that for Christmas, so I need to buy myself one just like for a just because gift, I guess. I'm gonna stick my sticker to that because I think that that would look really cool on that thing.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, you can get one of those stickers if you become one of our Patreon contributors at the $5 level or over, because all of the levels that are $5 or above, they include any swag that we pick up. And I saw those stickers and I just thought, like, I should totally get these so that we can reward the people who are contributing on Patreon right away. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I had a little bit of extra money, so I was like, I'm gonna buy these stickers to say thank you to everybody.
Yeah, they're so cute. And like once we sell all of our stickers, that just means we can like pony up some more money for some other fun stuff like koozies or mugs or
Yeah.
t-shirts. Like the possibilities are endless.
I was looking at those little tiny buttons. I don't know what it is about buttons. I love
Oh
buttons, like the
yeah.
stick pin buttons. I have them like I have a backpack that has llamas all over it.
Oh.
I carry it around like a purse. I'm one of those weird people that doesn't actually own a purse. Well, I own some, but I don't carry one around. But I'll carry that backpack around. It's got cool buttons on it like I'm in high school. All I need are like some Converses and I don't know. What do the kids wear nowadays? Jean
Uh,
jackets? No, I'm too old to blend in with the
yeah.
kids. Just kidding.
No. You could just maybe you should just start sporting some overalls and just start putting buttons all over your overalls. That might be cute. Or it can
Oh,
be
there we
like
go.
office space
I
and
could
you
do
need
that.
like a certain number of pieces of flair on your outfit. You could just do that.
There we go.
Hmm.
I like that. Oh, and I have some fun news to share also.
Ooh.
So, anybody who is in Ohio, you can pick up a copy of Ohio Gardener magazine, and there's an article about me in it with my picture.
Oh yeah. That is so cool. So how did that happen?
So, Kylie Bomley, she wrote the article, and she also wrote a couple of really great books. I have copies of both of them. One of them is The Monarch, which is her most recent book, and that is the book that we're doing next in the book club. We're currently doing a permaculture book. She writes for that magazine, and she knows Jared's mom.
Okay.
So we've met her on a couple of occasions. I don't know her super well. Like, I wouldn't say that like we're friends. We are friends on Facebook and we talk through Facebook quite often. But she was on a deadline crunch and needed to find something interesting to interview for the magazine. And I jokingly volunteered. And then she wrote me and she's like, no, seriously, can I really interview you? I I'm like, really? Like nobody wants to read my story in a magazine. But she wrote it very well. Like I didn't write any of that stuff. She sent me some questions, I answered them, and she put together like this really beautiful narrative that involves like the Wizard of Oz and some other like interesting things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, so you can go pick up a copy of that magazine and read it. I wish I could give a copy to everybody on the internet so they could read it because it is very nice, but I don't want to like get in trouble on like copyright laws or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I can only encourage that people go pick up the magazine if they have access to it, or maybe I'll check the Ohio Gardener's website and see if by chance they put it as one of their online, features because they do pick a couple articles out of each issue to put on the internet. And that one could totally be one, but I don't know. I don't know how they decide that. So, yeah, I haven't even gotten a copy of it myself because I don't know where to find Ohio Gardener, quite honestly. So I can't give anybody any direction. But as soon as I find a copy, I'll post on Instagram or something so people can find it too.
That is so fun. Yeah, I saw a picture of it somewhere. I can't remember if it was on your Instagram or what, but I was like, no way, Bev's famous.
I'm famous on paper in a magazine that I don't know where to get.
Yes. Hey, you know what? That's more than a lot of people have.
Right?
So,
Well, and somebody was joking with me that I'm like all over the place right now. I'm like, yeah, literally and figuratively, but I'm always staying busy. And if anybody like ever wants me to do anything like that, I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't know. It's fun.
well, why not?
This is the year of yes. I'm just saying yes to everything this year. So we'll see where that gets me. Except, like drugs or things
Right.
like that. I won't say yes to that, but
Right. Within
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 reason.
reason. Yes. No cocaine for Bev.
No. So you have a rooster story to tell.
Ugh. I don't know if it is just the weather or what, but my roosters were kind of assholes this weekend. I mean, I, I don't, maybe they're just extra protective now because it's springtime and they're all trying to run around and getting it in like they're a bunch of teenagers on prom night or something. Like it's just constant. And I don't know. So we have Gomez, which is our Savardhona male, and he's always like we had him in our bathroom for a long time. So he would jump up onto like the edge of the brooder when he was in our bathtub, and he'd just hang out and watch me get ready and stuff. He was super chill and friendly, and he's continued to be that way, but now he's just starting to get to the point where if he sees me come out of the door, he runs up right to me. And sometimes it looks like a little more aggressive than others when he does that, and it's a little scary. Not that he's that big yet, but it's still like a rooster coming at you. And I don't know if you guys have been like bitten by a chicken before, but it's not necessarily fun, especially now that it's shorts
Yeah.
weather, and I don't want to wear boots 24/7 outside weather. So I have him, and then Snape, the Easter egg or lavender Orpington mix that I might give to Bev, unless I make him a crock pot dinner before then. He hasn't done anything yet, but he's like 18 weeks old and he's already massive. So I think he's just intimidating by nature, but he just watches me. And the way he watches me is just a little little eerie. But he's got his little posse with him, so I think that's part of it. He's just getting a little protective over the coop. And then Snickers, our little Millie Fleur bantam, he for the first time ever ran at me this weekend. I was just like, what the hell? My roosters are going crazy. So I wanted to share some tips with everybody on dealing with aggressive roosters. So I know I've said before that I have punted Sir Lancelot across the coop before, but it turns out if you have an aggressive rooster, you shouldn't be aggressive back, even though it's kind of like a natural reflex when you have like a 10 to 15 pound chicken just barreling at you. And the spurs on him are just ridiculous too.
Yeah.
But I did some Googling this weekend because they were all going crazy. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be violent towards my chickens because even when they're a little crazy, like there's A, probably a reason, and B, like they're basically like my little babies. So I don't want to hurt them at the end of the day. So apparently what you're supposed to do is you can do a few things. If they come at you, you can pick them up and carry them around for like 15 to 30 minutes while you're doing other chores, because that just kind of demoralizes them in a way and shows them that you're boss. You can also throw them off guard by crouching down and feeding them snacks. Also a little terrifying, but they did recommend if you do that to wear long pants, long sleeve shirts, and gloves.
Just in case they decide to start coming at you.
Yeah. Well, they say if they're coming at you, that's when you crouch down
Oh,
and give them snacks.
okay.
And so I kind of tried that this week. I've done a combination. So what I do is I pick up Gomez and then I feed him treats while I'm holding him.
That's a good idea. So you're holding his wings back and he can't actually attack you with
Right.
his spurs, like while you got him like tucked under your arm. Yeah, I could see that. Then all he's got is his beak. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very important just to like put the treats in the middle of your hand, not between your fingers or anything, because they'll start like, just grabbing at your fingers and that doesn't feel great either.
Yeah.
If it's really bad and you can't even pick them up, they suggest wearing boots and like I'm not sure how it would work, but when they come at you, just like take your foot and roll them over
Okay.
and you gently hold them down.
Hmm.
That seems a little scary and terrifying to me, so I won't be trying that
I
one.
don't know if my leg moves like that. I'm imagining doing that motion.
I feel like I'm not
Yeah.
graceful enough, and then I'd be scared that I would hurt him.
Or I'd fall and then I'd be on the ground and they'd be spurring me over and over again.
E- Exactly, or like just trying to mate with your arm or something like
Which
that.
sounds terrible too.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a mixture of them thinking I'm one of their ladies and also thinking I'm a predator because sometimes they do like the little dance
Yeah.
and then sometimes they just like barrel at me. So it's been interesting. I feel like the holding and treats thing does work pretty well. They also say to not make direct eye contact and don't like walk towards them because they see that as you challenging them. So if I see Gomez out of the corner of my eye charging for me, I just keep walking ahead and don't make eye contact with him. Um, that seems to work pretty well too. I was surprised. So if you guys are having rooster troubles, that those are my tips to you. If it's a big like full grown rooster, I would definitely wear gloves if I'm trying to pick them up. But what I do is like I'll put one of my hands in front of their face so they're distracted with that, and then I use the other hand to kind of scoop and pick them up. That way they're not like nipping at you or kicking at you because they're distracted by what they can see. So that seems to be working fairly well. I'm hoping it's just a weather thing and they're excited and they just want to procreate and they're just extra crazy. But we'll see. To be continued.
Yeah, chickens are acting very strange right now because of the weather. I've got one that keeps trying to pretend like she's going broody, but I know that she's not because she's sitting on an empty nest. Or she's so young, she isn't doing it right. But they've been free ranging every time I'm out there. So if I'm out feeding the goats, or if I'm out doing yard work or working in the garden or whatever, I'm letting them out and they're following me around the yard. It's been working out very well so far. I'm gonna knock on wood. We haven't had issues with those nasty buzzards. And we haven't had issues with any dogs or anything. And in fact, they've been going into the area that my dogs can get to, and my dogs have been ignoring them.
Oh,
So
wow.
maybe they were just interested in torturing them while they were baby chicks. But yeah, when they were little, I kept them in that brooder thing, and my dogs used to run circles around it, barking at them, trying to get them to start running.
Oh,
It was
wow.
awful because, then all the chickens on the inside of it would start running. And I'm like, somebody's gonna get hurt. Like, this is not okay. You guys can't do this to my chickens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have one that would kept refusing to get out of the nesting box. So I go in there and she'd puff up like all big. I'm like, ugh, knock it off. Like there's not even anything under you because I'm looking at all the nesting boxes and I can count how many eggs we have. I'm like, You're not even in the nesting box you laid your egg in. I don't understand why you're sitting in here." So I'll reach my arm behind her and start patting her on the butt to get her to move out on her own. Or I'll hold out like some treats. And anytime there's treats in front of her, she puffs down or she lets her puff go, hops right out, and then pretends like nothing happened, and she follows the rest of the flock around for the rest of the day. But then I swear to you, the next day I go out there and she's in that dang nesting box again. I'm like, ugh. My husband's like, "Are we gonna have to do something about that?" I'm like, "Well, if I'm catching her early enough in the morning, no, because it means that she's still eating and drinking. I'm like, but if we, like today, we had crappy weather, so I didn't even go in there. I'm sure that she sat in the nesting box all day. Like, I've got to make sure that she eats and drinks because being
Right.
broody and like not actually hatching anything is really bad for their health.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I might have to, I might dog crate her, in like a
Hmm.
raised dog crate to take her temperature down. That's my idea for getting her to break it because I don't have anything to give her. I'm not giving her the hatching eggs because I want Aurora to get to do those. That's
Right.
like her project this year because I was terrible and forgot to sign them up for 4-H even though they wanted to do it this year. I missed the deadline.
Oh.
So she gets to hatch eggs though instead. So she's going to be super excited. And plus, my chickens are only a year old. I don't think that I trust hatching eggs under any of them yet. They don't, like, none of them seem like they're very serious about it. Like, if I can tempt you out of the nesting box with a treat, then you're not really all that broody.
Yeah, our I've had a couple. It's so funny. All of the Eclipse babies that I have left, so I have three of them, Larry, Mo, and Curly, and they all went broody at the same time. So one of them is the one sitting on the duck eggs, and she's been doing pretty good for only being,
Ooh.
she's not even a year old. She was born in end of August, so she's doing pretty
Oh, so
good.
she's younger than my chickens are. What breed is she?
She's a mix of a silver duckwing bantam and a leghorn.
Oh, okay.
So, like the bantam, yeah, bantams tend to be broodier, but the leghorn, I mean, yeah, I don't know how they went so broody.
Yeah, leghorns don't normally go broody if I'm remembering properly.
Yeah.
They're like one of the, because in the booklets they explain all of their characteristics. And yeah, the chicken that keeps going broody on me is a buff Orpington. That's going to
Oh,
be my broodiest chicken. Yeah. And I've got two of them, but one of them couldn't care less. The other one wants to bite my fingers off every time I try to get out of the nesting box.
we have a few of those too. Yeah, they're not even broody, they're just rude as hell when they're in the nesting box.
Rude, just rude
I call them
chickens.
Rudy Judies.
Oh, I like that.
Nobody's name is Judy, but they're Rudy Judies. And then if they're broody and I put my hand in front of them and they do like the velociraptor noises, they're called velociraptors.
Hmm.
So
I like that. I've been calling them Broody McBroody Face.
I like that. That is good. So we have that chicken tractor within our huge ass chicken coop, aka Cluckingham Palace. And I found if I put them in that, in the top part of that, for whatever reason, it breaks them. It broke my Silky and it broke one of the other Eclipse babies. And I was actually trying to separate them from everybody else with a nesting box in there, with eggs in there, but it just freaked them out so much because they didn't know where they were that it broke them in like less than 24 hours. So maybe the dog crate thing would work for her. Pretty good.
Yeah. If she keeps it up, I will. I've noticed that she does feel a little lighter, like as I'm picking her up in the box. I'm
Hmm.
like, come on, like you gotta go eat. I go eat something, I go get some food. She does go straight for the water though when she gets
Oh,
out,
good.
so I'm like, all right, you're at least not getting dehydrated, so
Good.
I'll only let her do it for a few more days. She just started it. What was it? It was probably Friday when she started it, and now it's Monday. I'm like, come on, chicken.
Get it together.
So did somebody send us a farm story this week?
Oh, they did. Let me put my
Ooh.
drink down for a second. So I have a farm story and we got it on the 15th. When was that? No, last Sunday. Okay, so it's been yeah, over a
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
So I read it then, but I don't really remember anything, and it might just be the beer. Okay, so this story is from JC underscore Renee, and I will have Bev link her Instagram to the show notes. But here is her story. So, a few years ago, my favorite sizzle rooster didn't put himself into the coop at night. Sometimes, especially in the chicken world, you can't be smart and pretty at the same time. At about 3 a.m., my dog started barking at the back door, and I heard a fuss outside, so I grabbed the flashlight and ran outside to see what was going on. I had just had a baby and was running on 1.5 to 2 hours of sleep at the time, so the fact that I was pantless and barefoot didn't cross my mind.
Oh no.
So the dog and I, pantless and shoeless, ran the perimeter of the fence and found a possum with my rooster in its mouth, trying to drag him through the fence. So I started yelling, "Drop it!" and kicking the possum while the useless dog stood there and did nothing. Finally, the possum let my rooster go and took off. I brought the rooster inside, cleaned him up, and set him up in the bathtub for the night. And if you don't have a hurt animal or chicks slash ducks in your bathtub, are you really even a farmer? Amen to that.
Yeah.
Uh, I finally came back to bed and my husband asked where I went. I told him the story and he said, "You kicked a wild possum with no shoes on? What is wrong with you?" I said, "It was trying to eat Elvis. What the hell was I supposed to do?" He said, "Get the effing gun and shoot it." I said, "I didn't even remember to put pants on. You expect me to think to grab a gun?" From now on, you're getting up with the baby and you're on predator duty. P.S. Elvis is in the tub and needs to be cleaned up when you wake up. She said, "This is by far my favorite story to date. I was so sleep deprived." So, yes, I feel like I wouldn't even be sleep deprived and I might run outside pantless if I heard something going on outside. So, at least you had that excuse going for you. Because I'd probably just do it anyways.
Just run out there with no pants. Yeah, I mean, none of my neighbors are close enough to see me, so that would be totally fine. Although I have kids at home, so I
Eh,
am usually always wearing pants just in case, like somebody needs something in the middle of the night. But I guess not when they were babies.
yeah.
But that is seriously, that story just cracks me up.
Yeah. I mean, you can just picture it in your head, like running around in your undies, kicking a possum. Like, doesn't get
Well,
more.
and possums are stinky and
Ugh.
mean.
We had a possum hanging out around here. Well, we had a couple. One we saw during the day, so I knew it was sick. And then the other one, it was just so fluffy and like creepy looking. So my husband got his, I don't know what it is. It's not a BB gun, but it's like a step above a pellet gun, maybe. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah,
But he
pellet
went
gun.
to like, yeah, he like shot it and it just kept slowly walking around. And I looked outside, I was like, "Oh, he's kind of cute." And my husband's like looking at me like, "You just told me to shoot it like 2 minutes ago." It's like, "Well, I don't want it getting in the coop and like eating my chickens, but you know." So he shot it again and it like went under our front porch, which we can't get under. So we're like, "Great, it's gonna die under there and then it's gonna smell awful." But I think he like dragged himself out of there later and went and died somewhere else. But yeah, they're creepy. And I know people are like, "Oh, they're so good for the environment. They eat ticks and like they don't get Lyme disease from eating all these bugs." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great if they want to stay out in the woods and away from my chicken coop." But I'm not gonna relocate a possum. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Like it's just gonna come back. Like
yeah,
he'll bring
because
his friends.
they know where food is. So
Yeah, they're not stupid completely anyways, but yeah. So I agree they can be great for the environment, but my husband, when he was hunting last year, was in the woods behind our house, and he said he saw a ton of them, and they were looking really rough back there. I think just because it was wet and dirty and ugh. So we don't have a shortage, and
no,
and if they're out and about, they're probably sick and not well, and I don't need them biting anything of mine.
no, definitely not.
So, thank you, listeners who have been sending us stories. So, keep sending those to us via Instagram, or you can email those to drinkandfarm@gmail.com because we like reading them and sharing them and getting a good giggle.
Yes, and it's nice to know that we're not alone in our pantsless, strange antics.
I mean, I did tell my husband the other day, I was like, "I love it here, but wouldn't it be super nice if I could come outside without pants on and like not worry about anybody seeing me?" And he just looked at me like, "Who are you?" It's like sometimes you just don't want to put pants on.
Well, I have a friend who really enjoys just like walking around her property naked and like gardening naked and whatnot. So we can't do that around here because while the neighbors can't see our property, like, from their houses or anything, the kids next door ride around on a utility vehicle and they come and like do laps around our house. So like you would
Oh,
never want to be like outside naked and have like, like a kid ride up on a
oh
UTV.
no.
So None of that can go on around here. Plus, we're very open. We've got some woods like to the side and like on the back of our property, but otherwise, like our house and our yards are all relatively exposed. But during the summer here, yeah, if you walked around naked, you'd definitely end up with some ticks.
It's like
No doubt about it.
naked and afraid, the rural edition.
Thanks for listening to our 10th episode of We Drink and We Farm Things. I'm Bev.
And I'm Sam. I can't believe we're on number 10 already. That is crazy.
Right? We're like preteens,
Yeah.
like a preteen podcast.
We're going to have to get a little crazy when we hit 21, obviously.
Oh, I'm going to start planning it
Okay.
right now. This is me rubbing my hands together.
So thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at Drink and Farm. That's where all of the daily happenings of Drink and Farm happen, since we basically live on Instagram. You can also join us over on Facebook at facebook.com/Drink and Farm. And then we also have this email list.
Oh, yes. So if you opt into our email list, whenever we put together a mini-sode, each mini-sode will come with like some sort of checklist or worksheet of some kind. And you will be getting a copy of that after each mini-sode drops, only if you're on the email list. So yeah, that's how we're going to get your email address from you. We're not going to use it for anything else. We're not going to send you a bunch of junk all week because let's face it, Sam and I both work and have a lot of other things that we got going on, so we don't have time to be sending out a ton of emails. But we do want to be able to notify you when an episode comes out or a surprise mini episode comes out because we know that sometimes the algorithm doesn't exactly work in our favor, so we don't want you to miss it.
Exactly. And like if the world ends and there's no more Instagram and Facebook, at least like you can keep with us up with us via email because I don't think Google's ever going anywhere. So Gmail is probably pretty safe for us to send from.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Google robots that take over the world.
Yes. Is it Alexa? Is Alexa Google? Who's Google?
No, Google is just hello Google, right? Like, is that how
Oh.
you get that one to wake up? Yeah, because there is like a Google Home. Alexa is by
Oh,
Amazon, and
that's
apparently they
right.
don't like each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mortal enemies. I almost said enemies. Sam's
Enemies.
cut off.
This episode was brought to you by our wonderful Patreon contributors. Thank you so much for being a part of our Patreon page. And don't forget that if you join our Patreon page before May 1st and opt in as a $5 or more contributor per month, then you'll get one of those awesome Drink and Farm stickers that we like talked up. And I'll link to a picture of the Drink and Farm sticker in the show notes so that if you missed it in the algorithm, then you'll still get to see it. And we're not going to be like all annoying and tell you all the things that you could give up for $5 a month so that you can join our Patreon. Because seriously, like I want you to drink your fancy coffee and your fancy beer. So if you're having to make the choice between fancy coffee, fancy beer, or like our Patreon, don't do it. Go for the coffee and the beer every single time. But we do drop like 4 or 5 episodes per month. So, at $5, it's like $1 per an episode for some pretty sweet entertainment.
Hell yeah.
Or some pretty entertaining entertainment. I
I
don't know. I
mean,
don't know if it's sweet entertainment,
I
but yeah.
mean, I think we're pretty entertaining. But I mean, we do put some pretty cool stuff up on Patreon that you can only have access to if you give us a couple dollars. So you'll have to just check it out and see if it floats your boat.
There we go. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next Friday. Bye.
Bye.